Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. How do I start? How do you start when the country that preaches humanity, the country that preaches freedom, democracy, the country that preaches all these things look no different than those countries that where the government actually kills its people? Do you remember all those right wing Haitian military? What do you call them? They that Papa Doc used in Haiti, the Tonton Macu. Well, Trump has his Tonton Macu. It's called ICE. These are those thugs that run around with their faces covered, and you are supposed to believe that these people, these thugs with face covers, that they stop you, you should stop. But are they really the government or not? Or are they going to keep you safe or not? Well, I think today one gave the answer, and that is to murder you, and then an administration that, without an investigation, with everything, with all the videos out there for you to see, for them to tell you your lying eyes are not seeing what you think your lying eyes are seeing. Your lying eyes are not seeing what you think your lying eyes are seeing. It is a scary situation. But let's get started by me first introducing the people that are here already. Welcome aboard, AVQ numero uno from Brooklyn, New York. Thank you for being here, my brother. We missed you yesterday. Thank you for all those cuts. We'll see when we can fit them in. I think we'll be able to fit them in near the end. Likewise, hello, Lisa Blair, Atlanta, Georgia. We also have in the house Joe from Los Angeles, California. Lee the Bearcat from Lady Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Everett Avery Howard from Atlanta, Georgia. Lee Grant from Montgomery County. Harris Denson from from Missouri City, Texas. Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Texas. E2247 from all over, of course. Thank you guys all for being here on the chat that we've got to late. Angie Decadence, love the name. Welcome aboard. Leslie Harris says, sorry, the Lord knows what I think. I'm not sorry. Exactly. Bobby K, how you doing, beautiful? Thank you for becoming a new paid subscriber. Kurt Gurjan, Jane Schmidt, Carol Ramseth, Useless Human, Philip Kafer, Rev Carlton, how you doing, Rev in Canada? Katie, Neth Eisel, Joanne, thank you very much for being here. I did a few cuts for today, but a 37-year-old woman is now dead. A 37-year-old woman is now dead at the hands of Trump's private army, Trump's Tonton Macoute. Look that up. Tonton space Macoute. Tonton Macoute. That's exactly what Trump has at his disposal. These criminals run around neighborhoods, stopping people, anybody that looks like they may be maybe Latino. How comes this woman got killed? How was her tinted windows messing with her hue or something? This was one of her white sisters. A 37-year-old woman got shot and killed. Blow a hole in her head. That is what your president did under the auspices of his Tonton Maku, on his private army, on his ICE thugs. That's what they are, thugs. This woman was trying to get away. This woman was trying to get away. I'm sorry, I'm discombobulated. This one hurt to the core because I tell you guys, I there are so many people when they see these masked men or whatever. One of the things that they're going to do is they're going to kind of, who are these guys? I am I'm sort of a bit concerned. I am worried. I'm scared. But these thugs, and you know they have a big budget out there to try to recruit them. They're trying to recruit them. Why? Because a lot of people see what ICE represents and they don't want to work for those criminals. They do not want to work for that criminal organization. I should call it, for my sake, that legal criminal organization. It's legal because the executives still have control. I can't tell you how. Let me tell you under what feelings I'm coming from. I'm coming from a feelings of watching this government do a lot of murder, specifically on a certain kind of people. It's ironic that it is this woman who got killed today. And I know she is going to be a martyr and must be a martyr for this movement. And it's amazing that it's going to be her who has to be, because again, she fits the profile. A profile that is necessary to show that when their evil is unleashed, nobody is safe. You see, this woman wasn't the first one killed by ICE, but it's likely going to be the one that gets a lot of response. ICE has killed many a people. ICE has drowned many a people. Hell, our governor has put stuff in the Rio Grande that has caused the death of a lot of people. Some we don't even know about. But you know what? They weren't the right kind of people. I want to really see who this woman is going to be, but I can tell it's going to be necessary to make her our martyr. It is going to be necessary to make her our martyr because she will represent what can happen to anybody from these thugs. I want you guys to understand what I am saying. As Patrick says, there's a $100 million budget to recruit these populations that harbor racism to work for ICE. Um, this is pathetic. I'm going to show you guys the video now. It's important that you see this. And if this doesn't do something to your heart, Think about this 37-year-old. It could be your daughter, could be your mother, could be your sister, your auntie, that these thugs. And what else I want you to see is I want you to see the calm of these thugs after a bullet went through the head of this woman. I want you to see their reaction. There's no empathy, there's no sympathy, there is no concern about a woman being hit in her head and her car crashing into a fixed object. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
An ICE agent killed a woman in her car, shot her in the head, according to Minnesota authorities. DHS says she was trying to run over ICE officers. Protesters on the scene say she was trying to drive away. Here is one angle from video shot by a witness. Witnesses on the scene immediately started yelling at agents, accusing them of murder. The Secretary of Homeland Security just called it an act of domestic terrorism. She claimed the woman was trying to run over ICE agents and that the ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. We haven't seen every angle of the video, but the one we just showed you does not appear to show any agents being injured there. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey just spoke and called the DHS response BS. I'll let you hear him say that. He also demanded ICE leave his city.
Now, her response, the response of the DHS secretary, the officers are making a full recovery. You saw the officer who murdered that woman, after murdering her, simply take his gun and slowly put it into his pocket, into his holster. And as her car crashed, he looks up and he just kindly, slowly walks towards it, no concern. These are not human beings, these are animals. I want you to see this again. It's imperative that you see this again. Remember, Kristen Knoll said that they are recovering. The ICE officers that this woman attempted to run over were harmed and they're recovering. Donald Trump says, I don't know how the officer survived that domestic terrorist attack. Your president said that to mislead you. But again, here's what happened.
An ICE agent killed a woman in her car, shot her in the head, according to Minnesota authorities. DHS says she was trying to run over ICE officers. Protesters on the scene say she was trying to drive away. Here is one angle from video shot by a witness. Witnesses on the scene immediately started yelling at agents, accusing them of murder. The Secretary of Homeland Security just called it an act of...
Now, I tell you, you saw him take the... by the way, there was somebody to the front side of the car, and all you have to do is look at the wheels, and you see that she made a complete detour from coming anywhere close to that officer. I mean, look at that video that I just showed you. Take a look at, she slowly turns to the right, and you could see the officer in front, the trigger happy thug, just opened up on her. I want you to listen to what the mayor had to say. I thought he gave a great speech. Likewise, the governor did, but the governor came on too late for me to process that video. I'll likely have that a bit later. But it this should have us engaged. This should have us look, guys, make sure you're registered. And every week, 8 weeks before that election, make sure you're still on the rolls. I repeat, make sure you all are registered to vote. Make sure 8 weeks before the election, you check the voter register on the internet, from the registrar's office, or anywhere where you can do that. And make sure you're still on the rolls. And it is imperative that we have the biggest landslide in United States history, because the murders by cop, the murders by ICE will continue. And if they don't lose by a landslide, at least when the new Congress come in, we can cut their budgets. We can cut the ICE budget. There is another video out there with a young guy, and I didn't get a chance to process that one yet. He said, I am a right winger. I am a right winger. This is not what I voted for. He said, this is not how it is supposed to be. They are losing everybody because most people are not degenerate criminal thugs like our president, Stephen Miller, his posse, including who has now become one, our Secretary of State and every other title that he has, Marco Rubio. Folks, we have to get engaged. Here is a response from the mayor.
We collectively are going to do everything possible to get to the bottom of this, to get justice, and to make sure that there is an investigation that is conducted in full. But what we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it. They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bull. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed. As soon as it happened and we learned of the incident, we had several priorities. The first, of course, was to get the victim to the hospital and to get care as soon as possible. To the family, I'm so deeply sorry. There's nothing that I can say right now that's going to make you or your relatives or the friends of the victim feel any better. There were, I believe, 2 Minneapolis police officers that responded and were in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The second was to get ICE off of the scene. There were dozens, if not hundreds, of ICE and federal officers that were there at the time. Having them there was only causing more chaos. Having them there was only making a difficult situation even more problematic, and one that, yes, they created themselves. There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. It's on you to make sure that further damage, further loss of life and injury is not done. We're going to be working towards justice as quickly as we possibly can right now, and justice is what we've all got to get. Next, a message to our community. Look, we all know that the agenda of this Trump administration is to create chaos. Let us respond right now with our best versions of self. This is a moment where all of us in Minneapolis and beyond, we can rise to the occasion. We can show them who we are. We can show them the kind of courage, bravery, love, and compassion that makes Minneapolis, Minneapolis, and that makes America, America. We are better than a bunch of ICE agents being deployed to cities around the country and ripping apart families and communities. We're better than that. And so we are going to meet that hate with love. We are going to meet that despair with hope. We are going to meet that injustice with constitutional justice ourselves. And we're going to make sure that in this very difficult moment, we do not take the bait that these ICE agents are trying to create and that the federal government, to be clear, wants. They want us to respond in a way that creates a military occupation in our city. They want an excuse to come in and show the kind of force that will create more chaos and more despair. Let's not let them. Let's rise to this occasion. Let's show them something far more beautiful than the kind of division that they're trying to stoke. Let's show them unity of purpose, of love, and the courage of our conviction. Our conviction, to be clear, is rock solid, and it is for our neighbors, all of our neighbors. It's for people who have lived here for 80 years. It is for new immigrants who have made this city a better place. That's the kind of love that we're going to show up with right now. If you're angry, I get it. I am too. If you're feeling that kind of despair, it's understandable. Let's show them who we can be. Let's show up with peace. To march, to protest, to hug one another, to love all the way with peace. Do not give them what they want. Finally, we've got a lot of work that needs to happen right now to make sure that, first, of course, the scene was secured as much as possible, that we were able to get the victim, now deceased, to the hospital. We've got a lot of work to do in the coming days.
We've got a lot of work to do in the coming days. Let me tell you why I love that speech. Very, very hard, to the point, but what he made sure, don't give Trump an excuse to declare martial law. Let's protest with order. But most importantly, remember, we love our neighbors. We love our fellow citizens. He didn't come out there and promote hate. We don't need to show hate. We know the Trump sycophants, unfortunately, are pained, unfortunately, are sick, unfortunately, are mentally ill, unfortunately, have fallen under the spell The same thing that happened during the Holocaust, during the Hitler times. There are some of us who just cannot break out of the sycophancy. There are some of us who just, for peer pressure and many other reasons, just can't break it. Let's not hate on those people. It's okay to feel sorry for them. It's okay to realize that they're sick, they're ill. But if we do our job, the majority of us, we make up over 67% of this country. And this doesn't only include Democrats and Republicans, it doesn't only include independents and liberals and progressives and conservatives. Let's govern. Let the sickos live in their world, but let's govern. But to govern, we have to go out there and vote. So right now, I want for all these occurrences, and more of this is going to occur. Not necessarily killings, but a lot of this is going to occur. What I want to impound on every single person the importance of effective today. Not only register yourself to vote, but contact your families, your relatives, your friends, your acquaintances, and make sure they're registered to vote. Uh, and and not only register to vote, but realize that 8 weeks before voting, and I said this again, but I'm going to repeat myself. You must constantly verify that you're still on the rolls, because the thugs that are running the elections, often in red states and red counties, their goal is to remove people from the rolls right near election time. I saw something, I think it's from Lynette or from Lynette, who says, Egberto, I am registered independent and I get a card all the time asking me if I still live at my address that I have lived for many years. And let me tell you what that card is from. That card is there to tell you, hey, if I don't get this card back from you, I'm taking you off the rolls because you've likely moved or something else. Nuh-uh. Return those cards, and every week, 8 weeks outside of the election, make sure you're registered. If you're doing it on your computer, please take a screenshot. If you don't know how to take a screenshot, take your camera and take a picture of your screen to show that you're registered. People. The voter suppression will be very active by the Trump administration and all his minions. But there are ways to get around it that they think you are not going to do, and we have to teach our people to do. So please, every every week before the election, verify your status and take a picture showing that you are registered, and save that picture. And also, the day before the third, a lot of these counties require 30 days before the election that you have to be registered. You have to make sure a couple of days before that 30-day period that you check again. And if for some reason you're not there, you run and do what's necessary to be registered to vote. And you also have those backup pictures to show how could I go from a registered state to an unregistered state in a week. And after you do that, you report that immediately to the news media. Come to independent media. Report it to me. I'll spread it to Daily Kos, Op-Ed News, Common Dreams, and everywhere else that we have, to put it out there to let people know what's going on and to let them know we're watching what they're doing. We cannot wait for close to the election to accomplish these things, people. We cannot wait. We cannot wait. We have to be proactive. That's why I am doing what I'm doing here, because these thugs are going to try everything. We don't want what they have to offer. Just 33% of the people in this country who are either sick or greedy wants what they're offering, but most of us don't. Most of us don't. So I am going to be passing this message on KPFT, on WBAI, on every affiliate that we are on right now. Okay? Let me tell you, because that is what we want to do, or that is what we have to do. So, folks, let's not take this lightly. Okay. Hi, Angela, how you doing?
My name is actually Bobby. Bobby.
Okay, Bobby, how you doing, Bobby? I don't know why it came out that way. Talk to me.
Uh, I'm on a family plan.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Anyway, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay. I was gonna say because the last time I voted, I have a friend of mine. She's a Colombian woman.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Bobby, are you voting?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna vote." You know, I voted against Trump. And she was like, "Bobby, do you know anybody else who feels the same that maybe isn't going to vote that you can talk into voting?" Because she was like hyping me up. Look, I not only want you to vote, but find one person that you know that you know that you can get to go vote that day, and kind of like. And she was like, and if that person should need a ride and they're a friend of yours, I'm going to be giving a ride, to like friends of friends if anybody needs a ride, and then like I would find one person, hey man, look, do you mind voting? And and then ask that person, can they also find one more person and kind of create a chain? And then along that chain, there was people that were volunteering. Look, if anybody needs a ride, you're a friend of a friend, then they were also offering rides to the people that were in the area to try to get more
I,
people in.
I love that.
I
I
thought it was
love
really
that.
neat.
Let me tell
Yeah.
you, I love that. In fact, I'm gonna package this one up as well. That is something that we have to do, uh, very much so, because again, everybody is concerned and they're scared about the election and all the different things that these people are going to do to try to suppress the vote. They can try to suppress the vote, but they can only go so far,
Right.
and all the
And she
techniques
was,
that.
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, because they're trying to, for the people who can't get out on their own, or they have kids, or whatever the situation is, the friends of friends kind of thing. Then maybe somebody can be there. Hey, look, I can pick you up, or and they work together to try to get, because they're trying to take away, the mail-in voting, or people who can't get out as easily, and try to make it harder for those people to get out and vote. So
Exactly.
yeah, she's trying to
So look,
combat that.
and that is great, and what we need is we need a lot of hers. Everybody has to do their part. I've got to do my part. Yesterday I was on a program called the Whatever News. It's a show out here by Dana DuBois. Great show. And one of the things she said is, what are you planning to do this year, Egberto? I said, to be everywhere. And what I mean is to be telling the message everywhere. And your friend from Colombia, she is going to be uh, talking to people like you to inform on how can we grow our base and make sure our base goes out to vote. I was with a lady, a couple of ladies here on the street corners in Kingwood, who are out in Kingwood every single Thursday protesting and encouraging people to learn the truth. It's not one thing to do, it's many things to do, and all of us have our parts to play, including you, my brother Bobby.
All right. Well, anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Have a good day.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day. Anyway, folks, anybody else want to call 281 823 7747? Again, that number is 281 823 7747. So, yes, folks, and now I think you get it. This We must use incidents like these to be catalysts as to why we must discharge every single Republican from a national office all the way down to our local offices. Because unless a Republican, and by the way, look, I am not anathema to voting for Republicans at all. But unless they come out and completely uh, get point out that they are completely against Donald Trump and are completely for women's rights and completely believe in equity and complete, I don't care what party you are, if that is who you represent, I'm with you, baby. I'm with you. I'm with you. And that is where we have to start going. We support those who support humanity and the people. Anyway, just before the call, one of the other reasons that I was, kind of scrambling to get started at 3 o'clock is I had a Zoom with a professor in Caracas, Venezuela. And it was a long Zoom because she doesn't speak English well. Let me get Harry and then I'll continue the message. Hello, Harry. How you doing, my brother?
Oh yeah, brother. I was just wondering if you heard after your show this morning when Amy was on with Democracy Now. She played a clip of convict Trump saying, "Republicans, we must stand together because if the Democrats win in a landslide, get control of the Senate and the House, they're going to impeach me. They're going to
Yeah,
impeach me. So we got to stand together and stop that." Did you hear that?
I heard that. I mean, if you don't want him impeached, don't do impeachable offenses. And so far, this guy
Yeah,
has done so many impeachable offenses. Let me tell you this. If when Democrats take back control, Harry, I want them to first and
yeah,
foremost work on people's personal economies. But guess what? They have a staff.
yeah,
And while they're doing all of that to start working to support the American people by getting rid of
yep,
tariffs, by doing all the things that are necessary, guess what they can do? They can be preparing the legal case against our thug in chief. And that is not hard at all.
yeah,
Killing over 100 people in the middle
yeah.
of the ocean, invading a country without actually getting permission from Congress. I mean, the Supreme Court
Absolutely.
said the following. The Supreme Court said the following: everything that Trump does, he has immunity for it. So, from a legal standpoint, in other words, through the legal system, we can't touch him. He can go blow somebody's head off. The president can. And he has
Right,
immunity while he is in office. So said your
right.
Supreme Court. But here's what the Supreme Court cannot go around, and that's the Constitution. And the Constitution
Yes, they
says
can.
we can impeach him and remove him from office. And uh,
Yes,
and
they
Michael
can.
Rudnin has another good point. And likewise, all his proteges, all the people under him executing his illegal orders, they can be found
Yeah,
legally liable. But I got to continue, Harry. Thank you for calling in and
yeah.
pointing
All
that
the
out, my
people in
brother.
his administration who do this. Now, I know those three liberal justices on the court don't like this, and they're not on board with those six justices on the Supreme Court. But you're right about the immunity.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
he's
sad,
immune.
like I said in my
Yeah, I
comment
got to go.
yesterday,
I got to
that
go.
Trump is
I
able
got
to
to,
get away with these things.
got to go, my
All right.
brother.
See you
Thank you, sir.
on the show tomorrow, Roberto.
See you
Tomorrow. Have a
tomorrow at
good rest
6
of the
a.m.
day and tell your wife and your daughter I said hello.
You know, Harry, I always tell them. I always tell them, hey, Harry
Oh,
says hi, Ashley. Harry says hi, Linda. Thank you, my brother. Love you, man. You take care,
okay.
okay? Bye bye.
Love you too. Have a good rest of the day. All right. Bye bye.
All right. All right. Look, folks, I, I want to play something here. Egberto, doesn't one of your representatives from Texas keep a life on all the impeachable offenses from DJT? That is actually, she's in my representative. You're talking about Jasmine Crockett. And she went ahead and line drive. Not only that, she keep a list of all the people who Trump pardoned who went ahead and committed another felony. It's amazing. Just Jasmine Crockett doing her homework. Yeah, she is. Okay. You know, Trump. Remember what I just said. I just got off an interview with a professor in Caracas, Venezuela, and I pointed out some of the things that Trump had to say. Of course, it's an internet world. She heard it all. So I want you to listen to what Trump specifically said here, and then I'll take it on the other side.
Tonight, sources telling ABC News that the U.S. conveyed a list of demands to the interim leader of Venezuela that the regime must meet before the U.S. will allow Venezuela to sell more oil. They include Venezuela must kick out Russia, Iran, and Cuba and sever economic ties. And Venezuela must agree to partner exclusively with the U.S. on oil production and favor the U.S. when selling heavy crude oil. The U.S. threatening the lifeline of the Venezuelan economy, imposing a military blockade. It sits on the largest oil reserves in the world. The chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Roger Wicker, saying the U.S. plan in Venezuela hinges on controlling the oil and that he did not believe the deployment of U.S. troops will be required. With President Trump hailing the daring raid that led to the capture of Nicolas Maduro.
It was an amazing military feat. We sort of got him a little by surprise, but it was brilliant tactically. It was an incredible thing.
3 days later, still no clarity from the administration on how the U.S. plans to, quote, run Venezuela. But the president has maintained the U.S. is in charge of the country.
The administration has a one-day plan on how to get rid of Maduro, but no idea of what happens after.
But no idea of what's after, which is very true. And that's all they want. Look, there's something I'll always say. This the president wants reality TV, and that's what he gets. A lot of the TV moments with no back in store, with no reality of what he wants. There's something else I think people need to be aware of. The people behind him, they are one to use what's saying to get. I want you to go ahead and now listen to Mr. Bumdick.
And then we'll take it on the other side.
He says, is acting President Delcy Rodriguez in charge? Is she running Venezuela or not?
Well, what the president said is true. The United States of America is running Venezuela. By definition, that's true. Jake, we live in a world in which you can talk all you want about international niceties and everything else. But we live in a world, in the real world, Jake, that is governed by strength, that is governed by force, that is governed by power. These are the iron laws of the world.
But are you saying
since the beginning of time?
But in terms of day-to-day operations in Venezuela, that is acting President Rodriguez, right? It's not some sort of American emissary.
No, what I'm saying is, we'll keep going here, Jake. So I want to say what I'm saying, and you'll follow up. But what I'm saying is just one level above that, which is that by definition, we are in charge because we have the United States military stationed outside the country. We set the terms and conditions. We have a complete embargo on all of their oil and their ability to do commerce. So for them to do commerce, they need our permission. For them to be able to run an economy, they need our permission. So the United States is in charge. The United States is running the country during this transition period.
If that's true,
obviously that doesn't mean that President Trump is setting the bus fare schedule inside the country. So doesn't mean that President Trump is assigning the K-12 curriculum.
Now you see what he's doing there, right? You see what he's doing there. He's trying to say, "Oh no, we are not going to go into Venezuela." But in effect, what we're going to do is control them from the outside by preventing them from being able to do commerce, sell, or anything else. What they failed to tell you is that blockading a country is tantamount to war. It's an undeclared war on that country. But you know what? I thought, okay, that is going to make Delcy Rodriguez, the new president of Venezuela, that is going to make her completely eat out of the hands of Donald Trump. Well, I spoke to an expert in Venezuela. This is a retired professor, a researcher at the Universidad de Venezuela in Caracas. And she said, "Oh, Egberto, how long do you think we've really been officially blockaded? We get the things that we need." She said, when Russia needed to bring us, I don't remember what the part was for for them to be able to make the product that they buy from the oil. They brought naphtha, I think it was that Russia was bringing in. He said Russia just brought the ship into our ports, guided by two destroyers, and they came in here. We got the stuff, and it was all gone. And I was like, how comes that didn't make the news over here? How come it didn't make the news that when you guys really need your stuff, if Russia is buying or whatever, that they come in guarding the ship? How she says, don't listen to the propaganda overseas. And then I am like, but wait a minute. He also says that you have got to get rid of China, Cuba, and Russia. And she looked at me and she said, let's see if Delcy Rodriguez will really do that. He said, there's no way Delcy Rodriguez does that. No way. And she says, but Delcy Rodriguez is not going to say, oh, I'm not going to do that, Trump. She'll just say, okay, if that's what Trump wants, okay. But China will remain. Russia will remain. Cuba will remain. And she said, by the way, you see that big platform in El Golfo de Maracaibo, meaning the Gulf of Maracaibo, that's drilling for oil right now? Yeah. Well, that's a Chinese platform. That's a Chinese platform. Let's start this, Hugo, but thank you for being here in the first place. So let's be very, very clear. Let's be very, very clear. Don't buy the crap that we hear here or necessarily listen to our news for the albeit. One of the reasons we thought so badly, I also asked her about Maduro. Hey, is Maduro really that despised in Venezuela? And she smiled. And this was her answer. Machado won the Nobel Peace Prize. Uh, then the guy who ran against Mr. God, I forget the darn president name now. Bad, the current Venezuelan president. He's still in the country. I mean, well, he's still available. Why didn't the United States put them back into power? He said, listen to what Trump said. She's not sufficiently popular. And then she says, you know why? Because the right wing, loud, rich people occupy only 15% of the country. And the others, right, are the ones who like Maduro and Chavez, etc. She says, look, 50% of the country doesn't like Maduro, particularly. They don't hate Maduro. They don't like Maduro because Maduro is not all that good. Okay? He's not all that good. But they love Chavez. So it is imperative for us when we are listening to our local news here in America that you not only listen to it, but that you actually see the reality. Why would the same administration in power in Venezuela, if Donald Trump was so damn sure and all the people on the West were so damn sure that that administration was so hated? But they're not hated. They know who's causing their demise. They know who's causing their price hikes. They know who's causing their shortages. That's sanctions, that is blockades, etc. The people are not dumb. They know it. Okay? They know it. And you know what? And that's why Donald Trump didn't dare throw one of the right wingers into office. Because again, that's who's there. All right, guys, that is it for the show. But I have some of the shorts here that our brother Rudnin wants me to play. So I will play a couple of his shorts right now if I can get all my wires connected correctly. I will play his shorts because if brother Rudnin brings it, I play it. Let's go ahead and do that. And All right, let's go ahead and do that again.
Hits me especially hard because my first viral video, I know I'm not the only one who's at least a little bit heartbroken that Tim Walz dropped his re-election bid, all because of a successful misinformation and smear campaign from Republicans. Hits me especially hard because my first viral video ever on TikTok was when I predicted that Kamala Harris would choose him to be her running mate. What makes this even worse is because of what happened and how it happened. Because the fraud in Minnesota really has nothing to do with Tim Walz, with Minnesota, or with the people those programs were intended to help. The fraud resulted from human nature. See, people complain that bureaucracy is wasteful and inefficient, so these programs were built with a low barrier of entry, allowing almost every dollar spent to go to the people who need the help, because that's what everyone wants. But people also demand omnipresent oversight to ensure that not a single tax dollar is wasted. But oversight isn't free and it isn't fast. So you either have a bureaucratic state where everything takes 10 years and half of the money is spent to make sure that the other half of the money is spent correctly, or you have a system that launches fast and delivers results fast. But because of the speed and the lack of oversight, you're more exposed to fraud. If you think Minnesota is bad, look no further than the CARES Act signed by Donald Trump in early 2020, designed to help businesses through the pandemic. This act was signed and only 6 days later, businesses were able to apply for loans. Between PPP and EID loans, over $1.1 trillion was spent in tax dollars, and this resulted in massive fraud. According to both government sources and the Associated Press, they have determined that conservatively at least $280 billion was lost to direct fraud, with as much as $1 trillion lost in total due to mistakes and waste. Now, does this mean that the $5.5 trillion in pandemic relief was a mistake? Did Trump hold himself personally accountable for the $280 billion in fraud that took place on his watch? Because that figure is over 1,000 times greater than what's lost in Minnesota. I mean, look no further than this Washington Post article from April 2020. Members of Congress were demanding oversight of CARES Act spending under Trump, but Trump was fighting it every single step of the way. In this article, they have a direct quote from Trump. I'll be the oversight. So with $280 billion in fraud under his oversight and only $2 billion recovered, not including the loans that went to people paying rent to Trump and Kushner, or the millions of dollars that went to Republican members of Congress who then voted to keep their names out of the press, and not including billions lost due to all of Trump's pardons. The current tally stands at $278 billion lost under Trump, to the current estimate of less than $1 billion, with maybe half recoverable in Minnesota. The fact is, no one wants a slow, bloated bureaucracy, because bloated bureaucracies become corrupt from within. On top of that, when you're spending billions or trillions, the question isn't whether you can avoid fraud entirely, because those volumes of money have a way of corrupting people the moment they see a chance to get rich quick. The real question is, what do you do when you encounter that fraud? Do you identify the criminals and prosecute them accordingly, like Tim Walz in Minnesota? Or do you ignore it, engage in it, and pardon it, like President Trump? I know I'm...
All right, let me tell you what I want to do here, because that is, Michael, thank you for that video. That is such an important video, and I want to spend the last 2 minutes talking about that and in this respect. And because I want people to do the math, right? I want people to do the math. All these people are looking at the fraud that has occurred in Minnesota, and this is fraud that occurred not only in Minnesota, it occurs in Texas, occurs everywhere. All right, and then they try to make it believe like, oh, this is a democratic thing, and what we needed is more oversight. Let me tell you something. When you add, if the cost of fraud is less than the cost of implemented stringent oversight, then fraud is the cost of doing business. You know who knows about that? Grocery stores. Notice that a grocery store doesn't have a police officer in every aisle. It doesn't have a police officer going through everything in the bag. It doesn't have a police officer going to, and checking absolutely everything in every bag before people leave the store. They legally could do any one of those things. But the cost of doing that would exceed their profits. The cost of doing that would exceed the cost of the fraud that they actually have encountered. So it's a mathematical and business sense not to do it. This is not justifying fraud. This is saying handle fraud correctly. The same thing happens in healthcare, right? Is there healthcare fraud? Of course there is. But if a lot of people would say, well, we want the private sector to take over health insurance because what they're going to do is they're going to monitor to make sure people don't rip the system off. First of all, it's BS, because it's not the people that rip off the health insurance, it's the business persons that rip off the health insurance process. It's our plutocracy, our capitalists who rip off our healthcare system. So it is important for us, and when the right continue to turn Americans stupid. And I don't use that word often, but I think it is important to use it here. The right makes stupid people. I repeat, the right makes stupid people. The right makes shallow thinking people. The left make deep thinkers. The problem is deep thinking takes time. Deep thinking takes time. So, my brothers and sisters, Michael, first of all, I want to thank you for that video. I subscribed to this guy, but this one didn't come up into my feed. So, thank you for that. Are you still here, by the way, Michael? Are you still here? I want to thank you for that particular link because this is one of the best ones that you have provided because I think it wasn't only substantive, but it also provides a teaching moment. I want to ask all of you, or further, I want to I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to ask all of you to share what we do here. It is very important. I want to remind you to please go after you get off this program, go make sure if you're not registered to vote, register to vote. If you are registered to vote, check to make sure you're still registered to vote. And 8 weeks before the election, meaning starting, I believe, in September, every week, check to make sure that you are registered on the rolls in your county. And right before the election, about 2 days before the election, also make sure that you're registered. And for every time that you see yourself come up as registered, take a picture with your camera of the screen, or if you know how to do the screenshot, do a screenshot and save it in your documents folder or in whatever folder you do with whatever operating systems you're working with. Folks, this is important stuff we're talking about here. And this is stuff I'll be taking on every single platform that I'm on. But we've got to do this. And last but not least, I want to ask all of you who have the wherewithal to please help us continue helping by you becoming paid subscribers of our platform. And you can do that by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you are on Substack, just click the subscribe and please become a paid subscriber. If you are independently wealthy, you can become a what we call a founding subscriber, a founding member. I mean, we can use all the assistance we can get to keep doing this work. Like I said, we'll be all over the networks, the airwaves, the websites, the TikToks, the Instagram, and everywhere we're putting that message out because we got to win this big. We have to make all these people that ICE is murdering, all these people that ICE is disappearing, all these people that ICE is harming, all these families that are breaking up, all the thievery that is going on in our system, we have got to mitigate it. And it starts this year when we win in a landslide because all of us are going to do the work that needs to be done. Again, please become paid subscribers if you can today. My name is Egberto. First of all, love you all. Love you all. Including you guys too, MAGA. Someday, you're here every day. Sometime or at some point, what we discuss here is going to bear fruit, is going to root in your brain and actually come to fruition. Love you all. You can write me directly, info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. Beforehand, I'll try to prepare my interview with the professor in Caracas, Venezuela for tomorrow. I got to do a lot of editing because her English is not too good and I want to make it easy. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.